I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Monona Public Works Committee for Wednesday, December 3rd, 2025. Dan's got the roll call. We have a quorum. Why don't we move on then to the approval of the minutes from the last time we met, which was October 1st. We have a motion. Is there a second? Second, and then was anyone interested in suggesting any changes, additions? Hearing none. All in favor of approving those minutes, say aye.
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 Aye. Okay, fabulous. The minutes are approved. I don't think we have any appearances tonight, so I'll just move on to number 5 on the agenda. There's no unfinished business. I guess I'll move on to number 6. New business. Pretty light agenda tonight. So 6A, discussion and consideration for approval of the preliminary assessment resolution for Arrowhead Drive street improvements. Dan, would you like to say a bit?
So we have been approved to move forward with the 2026 road reconstruction project. Part of that project includes reconstruction of Arrowhead Drive, and it's set to receive curb and gutter for the first time. So when a street receives curb and gutter for the first time, it's supposed to be assessed back to the parcel owners. So this preliminary resolution is declaring the city's intent to exercise special assessment powers for street improvements to Arrowhead Drive between Wildhaven and Volks Plain. Per city ordinance, 60% of street improvements cost is to be assessed back to the property owner. The remaining 40% is the city's responsibility. The number of installments that the city allows is 8 installments, which is 8 years. We have the Class 1 notice set to appear in the Herald Independent tomorrow, and that satisfies the state statutes portion of this. Letters were sent to the 14 parcel owners on November 21st with their preliminary assessment. We will have the final assessment resolution at the January Public Works Committee meeting, and the January 5th City Council meeting will be the public hearing for the assessments. That's the residents' time that they can come before City Council and discuss with them their assessment. So this resolution is just telling the Monona public we are intending to assess for improvements to this small section. So if there's any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer.
I have a general question. There's 2 variables here in the materials you sent. One is the interest rate for 2026, and I'm wondering, does the interest rate vary year by year if people pay it over an amortization? And the second is that the City Council has the ability to change 8 years to another amortization schedule. What's the history of whether the City Council changes amortization, and what's the kind of reality of does interest rate change year to year? And I'm wondering how that affects these 14 parcels' decision to pay early versus through their tax assessment.
Dave, that might be a better question for the finance director. The way I understand it, and I could be wrong, but once we borrow for this project, whatever the rate is that we get through the borrowing, I believe that holds plus 1% through 8 years.
That makes sense. Okay. Yes. Okay. And then, but the city has the ability to change the amortization from 8 years to another number of years according to the materials. Have they ever done that, or is it always 8 years?
From what I understand, the projects in the early 2000s have been set at 8 years, and I believe that's the city's policy.
Okay.
This is my 4th project where I've led the assessments, and it's always been 8 years.
Okay.
In my 15 years here.
All right, that makes sense. Thanks.
Yep.
Recollection when we lived on Maywood, when interest rates were
12 and 15%, and that was a good deal. Is that it was a longer amortization, but and I'm not sure who decided that, but that's my recollection from way back when.
Okay.
Just a general question of why this is coming in front of this committee. It seems, reading that language, it seems like this is code, or it's a state code, so it's going to happen, right? And I know there's going to be the chance for homeowners to provide input, but I don't see like you going back on this decision. So how is that going to be weighed, and what is the point of it bringing it in front of us?
The point of it that it comes here is every action that city council takes from, in our case, a public works related matter, it needs to have a committee recommendation. So the first reading at city council was Monday, the second reading would be December 15th. They require a recommendation either for or against prior to their consideration. However, I believe if this committee would vote no, I don't know how city council would vote, but they would have to change the city policy if they want to waive assessments because we're not city code. Yeah.
And I imagine we had our fifth meeting. That wasn't we had those for public input or homeowner. That's coming up.
That's at the January 5th city council meeting. That's for the public hearing for assessments.
Haven't heard anything from them.
So far, I haven't heard anything. We did have public information meeting number 1 in 2023, and we had a lot of residents show up to that, and there was assessment questions at that meeting from Arrowhead residents. So even though this project had been delayed 2 years, the residents were informed already then that they would be assessed. But there might be people that attend the city council meeting January 5th. We still have to provide discussion and consideration of the final assessment resolution. The second meeting in January, I think it's the 20th, the Tuesday.
Oh, yes.
That's where city council will vote on the final resolution. So.
And the reason this is being rebutted against the homeowners is because it's curb and gutter. So I consider a new street at this point.
Yes.
Yeah. And do they have the option of saying we don't want curb and gutter?
That's not for me to decide.
Like if hypothetically, if all the,
I
fair
mean,
enough,
that-
it's
that-
not for you to decide.
That'd
Okay,
have to
I
be
see
a
what you
city
did there.
council consideration.
Because the total expense falls on the city, but it's just a simple reconstruction. Right? Yeah.
I don't believe city council would go with that just because the goal is to get curb and gutter on the street for, containment, stormwater runoff, catch basins. That stuff. So, yeah. And to pay their fair share because everyone else so far has paid.
Yes, that makes sense. I can just manage to see a giant bill.
Yeah.
Is there a rough understanding of what each, like the average property owner would incur?
Yep, when we sent the letters, the cost per foot is $103.28. And they were sent a letter with the cost per foot, with their assessed frontage, and then with their preliminary assessment cost. So each of the 14 parcel owners has that information. Now, at the end of the project, or when the bids come in and the project is done, we cannot assess higher than what this number is. But if the project is constructed at a lesser dollar amount, we adjust that assessment.
That's really more generous. So what did you say,
$103.28.
It's about 100 per linear foot.
Yeah, per foot. So, the range is from 6,300 up to $10,000. And that's based on their frontage, so.
Right.
I have seen other assessments higher than that in the past year.
Yeah. So between 6 and 10, depending on your frontage. You had 8 years to pay for it. All right. Any other discussion on this?
I would make a motion to recommend the approval of the resolution in the packet 2849 to the city council.
I'll second. Any more discussion? We have a motion and a second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, fantastic. That takes us all the way down to the end of the agenda, pretty easy. Down to reports. Dan, is there anything you wanted to? Actually, nothing really on reports, but we do have something for our next scheduled meeting.
Yes.
Is January 7th, 2026, but then Dan, there is an operations report that.
I think, Tim, you might recall, Leslie, but this might be the first time we've ever held a January meeting. We've never held a January meeting before, but we have to hold one in this coming January for the final assessment resolution. Regarding the operations report, we're winding down right now, which is nice. We have about 3 weeks of slow time, and we're in it right now. I guess one of the biggest things that we have coming up, the EPA this year has required Monona to test for PFAS. We did a round in summer, and we are doing our second round this December. We already sample for PFAS based on the DNR schedule, so this is not something new, but the EPA is paying for this. So the Kelly Place Stormwater Project is finished. Some punch list items. They will come back in the spring again for final landscaping and things like that. Yeah, for the most part, it's quiet right now.
So Kelly Place is online.
Yes. Yep. Something like.
It looks great.
We read book by somebody suggested like a grand opening, ribbon cutting ceremony, something like that. And I think everyone's in general agreement that it seems like a good idea. So, but any thought?
If that were to happen, I would recommend in spring after the grass grows in.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a path.
The
There's a
path is
beautiful
there.
path.
It
It's
is.
winding,
Yep.
yeah. I liked it.
I think we plan on putting a kiosk there with some information on. And I believe the Clean Lakes Alliance is going to highlight this project. I'm not sure if it's gonna be at the breakfast next year.
I think you said, yeah.
So we've had drone video footage of it,
I
photos
love
from
those
start to
pictures.
finish.
Yeah.
So kind of watch for that. I think this will be Monona's signature project for that event.
Is there an article in the newsletter? That might be nice.
I'm not sure if Brad put it in there.
So,
One quick question: the PFAS sampling is in the groundwater wells, I assume.
Yeah, wells 1, 2, and 3.
Okay, those will be reported.
Yep, those results will be on the water quality report that comes out in June. So far, all of our results are below the action limit. Yeah, didn't even establish them, so.
And this is a continuation of testing. I recall getting a letter in the mail earlier in the year that just basically said that no, nothing was found in my well. Is that what you're referring to? The first?
Well, we do have PFAS in well 1, but I believe wells 2 and 3, we were at 0 or not detected.
I'm trying to recall the nature of the letter. It said something to the effect that the wells were tested and no known something
I don't know if
were found.
we didn't send letters to anybody for that.
Maybe it was longer than a year ago.
Because we report our results in the water quality report.
Did give it back. I can't recall what it was. Did you have to do that?
Special collection, because we did that.
No, nothing.
Was it for lead and copper?
Perhaps. Oh, yes, that was it, when all the pipes were tested.
Yeah,
That's
that's what.
Yeah. Is there anything on the spreadsheet that you included that you wanted to highlight, Dan? I just, before the meeting started, a few of us were just talking about how impressive it is to see that list.
I was gonna ask the question, if there's someplace other than buried in this packet that we could put that spreadsheet someplace else on the website, just so people can see what Public Works accomplishes.
That was also sort of a comment in passing before the meeting started, just the amount of awareness that it can help bring.
Yeah,
It's really quite
We
impressive.
might be able to find a place on the department page
Yeah.
for it.
I think that would be
yeah,
great.
yeah, just somehow pulling it out of
Yeah.
this particular meeting's packet, which is gonna be buried away forever.
I agree.
Yeah, okay, that's a good suggestion. I have the 2024 final report. We can put that up there and start building the history on there.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great idea.
I do too. It really is impressive, just, yeah. One thing I was wondering, Dan, what is the significance of the yellow and green color, other than just to help
My
the eye
eyesight.
follow? Yeah, I wondered if that was the only purpose of it, or if there was some other categorization that I was missing.
It's kind of breaking it down by
Yeah.
category.
Yeah.
We have like the first few items is all related to like stormwater.
Yeah.
And then we have, the street sweeping collection data. So it's kind of like lumped in by category.
Yeah.
But I do a lot of the color stuff, just so it's easy to follow with the eyes.
Absolutely, sure. And I appreciate that you put the word lane in bold and italic, like, okay,
Yeah.
doubles, right? It's 2-lane streets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not just a mile of road,
If-
it's a lane, a mile of lane.
I am open to say any suggestions as far as making this easier to understand.
Mhm.
But I think we've captured all of the measurables that we can as far as, anything of quantity or anything that's required. I think we have it here, so.
The only thing I can think of, Dan, is that there might be, do you think there's a need for an explanation on some of the abbreviations, like row, like right of way? But then again, on the line below it, it does say right of way inspection, so I don't know if perhaps,
We could put like a little asterisk and have a
Sure.
note on the bottom.
yeah, I wondered about that too.
For
I mean,
abbreviations.
CY, cubic yards, I mean, I kind of thought about it and I figured it out, but there was just one instance of where it just said ROW, and maybe that people might wonder what that meant.
Sure.
And I did a study on street cleaning years ago. And I went round and round and round is what lane miles actually
Oh,
meant. Some people think it's the actual linear distance of 1 mile, but others are, it's 1 lane.
yeah,
So it's actually 2 miles
it's twice,
per
it's
line.
doubled, yeah,
So,
right.
We came with an idea, but that's the same as others.
We gotta follow the DOT in that regard, so just kind of keep it simple across the board.
Yeah.
It's also interesting just to see like the rhythm of the department and how certain months have,
Yep.
yeah, certain.
Based on the season,
Mhm.
time of year.
Mhm. Yeah, no, it's a really great spreadsheet. The quarters, I like how those are in darker color. Anyway,
It would also, if you put us on the website, it'll extra work with to start plotting it, charting it.
Mhm.
So you can start seeing seasonal trends.
Right.
Which people may or may not understand, but spring is a huge time for street dirt. Yep. Sand that's being applied.
Once we get about 3 years,
Yeah.
then we can start graphing.
Yeah.
You might be able to start seeing a trend. 1 or 2 years and really got.
I agree.
Okay.
Good suggestion, Tim.
Yeah, if I could make 2 comments, I think it's a great suggestion, but one comment is it's a big deal to go from an internal report to one open to our citizens and the public. So I would ask that Dan, you and your staff just take that in mind, go through this, and as was suggested, say what language would be more appropriate for the broader public. I'm confident you guys can do that. And the second is provide a case or a path for people to ask questions if possible, which gives you two things. One is how to improve the report for the public, and the second is how many people are reading it. That if you got a lot of questions and people commenting on it, that's good. People would be looking at it. So two things, go through it first with that in mind that it's for our citizens, the public. And second, provide a way for them to ask questions.
So as far as tracking it, the website does have the ability to track, so we should be able to see how many people click on the report. The first one you mentioned, like make it more understandable for the public or more.
Well, I'm just saying that my guess is today, when you design and your staff designed this, you thought it was for the Public Works Committee and for staff.
Yeah.
But a shift has been made. If you do this, it is going to be available to the Monona community and the public. So just keep that in mind and say, with that mindset, how would you change the language to clarify it? Again, I'm confident you guys could do that. It's just a shift in who the audience is.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Dave.
Any other discussion on the spreadsheet? All right, in that case, just hopping back to a previous comment about our next meeting, we'll be meeting again on, what did it say, January 7th? I will take a motion to adjourn. Bill moves, a second from anyone? Second by Leslie. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Meeting's adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Very nice. I really love that spreadsheet.